Federal judge blocks the Biden administration's vaccine mandate for healthcare workers, ruling, quote, if human nature and history teach anything, it is that civil liberties face great risks when governments proclaim indefinite states of emergency. During a pandemic such as this one, it is even more important to safeguard the separation of powers set forth in our Constitution to avoid erosion of our liberties. Joining me now to discuss new Civil Liberties Alliance Litigation Counsel Jenin Younes. Jenin, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
So can you just update us on where does this stand right now when we're talking about courts that have said the mandate is not going to go forward, should not go forward? How many? Where are they? Where does this whole thing stand right now?
So there are actually about 4 excellent decisions from federal courts at the moment having to do with Biden's executive order as to the vaccine mandates. So 3 came out over the last 2 days. There was one about federal contractors, and then 2 were the healthcare workers. And then the Fifth Circuit a couple of weeks ago issued a stay of the OSHA mandate. So, to put it bluntly, his executive order has been hobbled significantly. It's barely in effect at this time.
So, on what are the grounds on which these? I'm sure there's different reasoning used by the different decisions, but what's the basics of it? Is just that OSHA is far exceeding its mandate. I mean, what is the constitutional objection that the courts are raising now, primarily?
So, broadly speaking, there's sort of the overarching theme is that the president just doesn't have the authority to issue this sort of mandate. He's commandeering statutes and agencies and private companies in order to effectuate his goal of vaccinating Americans, forcing Americans to get vaccinated. And the courts are finding, no, the president doesn't actually have the authority to do this, which he doesn't. So these are the correct decisions.
Now, where does this leave it at this stage? So you have a universal injunction just came down earlier this week against the OSHA mandate, right? So that means across the country, a federal judge has said you can't go forward with this. What are the next stages and the next steps as this process plays out?
So the OSHA mandate was actually from the Fifth Circuit. So that was 3 judges. It's an even bigger decision because it's a court of appeals. The others, so the contractor mandate only applies in 3 states, Kentucky, Ohio, and Tennessee. That had to do with some sort of specifics about the nature of the claim that was raised. However, it would be considered persuasive authority in other jurisdictions. So I hope that lawyers go ahead and file suits in other areas, and they should be getting the same outcomes. The healthcare workers one yesterday was just extended to the entire country. So there were actually 2 decisions. The first one from Missouri only applied to about 7 states. And then there was another decision from Louisiana yesterday that extended it to all states. And these are all excellent decisions. They also raise issues. They question why natural immunity isn't being recognized. So for the first time, we're getting some courts noting that.
And on the issue of the Supreme Court weighing in here, how would that, you mentioned a court of appeals, the Fifth Circuit has already come down with a three judge panel on the OSHA mandate. So how quickly and could the Supreme Court weigh in, and when would we know?
It could happen quickly. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to play out. I suspect that it's going to play out at a lower court level for a little longer before it gets to the Supreme Court. But I suspect at some point it will get there. I can't imagine the court dodging this.
So do you think the Supreme Court will rule? Do you have any sense as to, based on the makeup of the court, do you believe that it will? I mean, I hate asking someone to make a Supreme Court prediction on TV, but I'm kind of doing that. Do you think that they'll allow the OSHA mandate to go forward, or will they strike it down?
I can't imagine that the court will allow the OSHA mandate to go forward. I really hope not. Anyway, it's clearly illegal. It's clearly exceeds the president's powers to issue this kind of mandate.
Is there any also concern in legal circles about the Biden administration perhaps trying an end run on this by either withdrawing the OSHA mandate and then trying, to go through an HHS mechanism or other means of using federal government power to get the same effect? Is that something you're looking at? Is that something that people are preparing for?
I haven't been hearing anything about that specifically, but one thing that they are doing is continuing to kind of extend the deadlines so that it makes it harder to show that there's any kind of imminence. So we currently have a lawsuit in the Southern District of Texas pending for the federal employees. And that mandate was just extended. Biden told the agencies that they shouldn't enforce this until at least mid-January. So it does seem a little bit as though they're almost toying with people so that they can't establish that they have an imminent harm, so they can't get injunctions.
By the way, I wanted to switch gears for a second, something related but a little different. New York's Governor Hochul signed an executive order to postpone non-essential, non-urgent elective surgeries. Is there a way people could challenge this? It just seems she's doing this before we even know if the Omicron variant, and this is even according to Fauci today in the White House press conference, is it more transmissible? Is it more dangerous? They don't know. But the governor of New York is just signing executive orders to postpone surgeries. I mean, is that lawful? It's definitely not smart.
I mean, what we've seen over the past couple of years is exactly this kind of thing. And these executives just keep extending their own emergency powers and then issuing orders. I mean, de Blasio in New York City, his vaccine passport program was actually implemented under these emergency powers. There's no, if this is an emergency, I don't know what isn't. And what we're seeing is just people using the word emergency, these executive officials using the word emergency in order to exercise ultimate power over the population. And they haven't learned anything. This canceling of elective surgeries, it's been very, terrible for the American public, what happened in early 2020, where all sorts of elective surgeries, cancer screenings were canceled. And now we're seeing more and more people showing up with advanced cancers and much more complicated problems that can't be dealt with the way that they would have been earlier. So nobody's learning any lessons, and the governor absolutely should not be having emergency powers anymore. The legislature should be reining this in, and they aren't.
Thanks so much, Jenin, for being with us. Appreciate the expertise.
Thank you so much for having me.
CNN pushes for bringing back indoor mask mandates because of the new variant. The fear-mongering is hitting a high level, folks. We'll get into that coming up in Quick Hits. First, I want to tell you about My Digital Money. Crypto is hot, right? You can make big gains if you get in at the right time. Bitcoin, Ethereum, a lot of digital tokens out there. Where do you get started? Where My Digital Money comes in. It's an easy-to-use, self-trading crypto IRA platform with concierge-level customer service. It's one of the few U.S.-based crypto companies that will answer your phone call and help you get started. They offer an unparalleled military-grade security for your coins. Look, when it comes to your money, you need somebody you can trust. You need a team of dedicated professionals. That's what you'll have with My Digital Money answering the phone. Go to mydigitalmoney.com, mydigitalmoney.com. Quick Hits coming up next.